Hello, friend. Is it a red flag or real love? Stop dating their promises. If you've ever been hypnotized by someone's dazzling promises while your real life feels like it's withering away, this isn't just another episode, it's your escape plan. Think about it. Are we being patient partners or are we being willing victims in a Ponzi scheme of promises? Do you know someone who is basically a promise junkie returning to her dealer for increasingly elaborate fixes? Well, today we're ripping off the mask to reveal its ugly truth. It's not romance, it's robbery. That dizzy feeling when someone paints tomorrow so beautifully you can almost touch it. It's not hope, it's a hook in your brain. So buckle up for the gut punch reality check that finally woke up my best friend. I've got 3 jaw-dropping truth bombs about why smart people sometimes waste years chasing futures that never actually arrive. These eye-openers didn't just end Simone's 5-year addiction to empty promises. They exposed the vampire hiding behind those pretty words about someday. Make sure you stick around until the end, where I'll explain a little bit about part 2 of the series. Those 3 questions that'll blow the lid off of how you see promises. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. We've all heard that warning, but nobody talks about the creepy flip side. Some people sell you tomorrows so you'll never demand anything meaningful today. That was Simone, tomorrow junkie, promise collector, time hostage with hope handcuffs. Maybe you're squirming right now because, ouch, this hits a nerve. You live in the almost more than the now, the wedding that's coming after his business takes off, the dream house that's happening once the market settles, the baby plans waiting when the timing is perfect. Their juicy descriptions of tomorrow taste better than the stale sandwich of your today. Just wait a little longer. Be patient. Don't give up. The magic is coming just around this corner. Not the last 5 corners that led nowhere. That's not love. That's a time thief. Let me tell you about Simone and Frank, the most toxic love story I've ever witnessed up close, and I've seen a few. When Simone met Frank, he didn't just make promises, he painted masterpieces with his words. The beach house in Maine with their writer's studios overlooking the waves, the 6 months in Bali after his app sold. The intimate wedding on his family's Italian property where they dance under string lights and stars. His promises weren't foggy maybes, they were vivid. Simone could smell the salt air, feel the Bali heat, and taste that Italian wine. He had numbers, timelines, contacts. It all seemed so freaking real. Everyone who loved Simone panicked. I flat out said to her face, "You talk about your life like it's a movie that hasn't started filming yet." Her mom stopped asking her about the move after the 3rd postponement. And her sister, the woman who never judges, finally snapped and said, "What has he actually done toward any of these promises?" But our concern only made Simone defend him harder. Because she wasn't just dating Frank, she was cast in the most epic love story ever. Only she understood how the universe kept throwing obstacles at their beautiful plans. Only she could see the genuine intention behind the 17th timeline adjustment. What followed was 4 years of bizarre limbo. Actually watched my brilliant friend spend days researching Maine property taxes for a house that stayed magically 6 months away for almost 48 months. She spent nights planning Bali excursions for a trip that kept shifting, just another season, maybe next summer. The weird emptiness came when she started to turn down real jobs because they might mess up their real plan. Also, the twisted pride when she would recount how Frank described their future so perfectly that even she believed it was more real than her actual empty apartment. Your patience isn't noble. It's the drug keeping you from seeing you're being robbed of time. She lost her career chances. She lost friend connections. She lost a genuine relationship with reality itself. But she couldn't let go of that sweet, sweet hit of everything amazing is about to happen. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Turn on any popular streaming service. Half their rom-coms celebrate waiting for someone's empty promises. The prince will come. Socials is littered with toxic quotes about divine timing, and if you know, you know. Songs glorify waiting for someone who's always about to, or who's almost ready to, who's just on the verge of showing up. We're basically programmed to glamorize waiting around. By the way, thank you so much for hanging out on the couch and helping us grow. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. Your support helps us grow and expose these sneaky toxic traps that movies try to sell as epic romance. So what's actually happening in your brain when you're hooked on promised futures? It's a wild chemistry experiment where you get high on anticipation because, brutal truth alert, your brain releases more feel-good juices when expecting something awesome than when actually getting it. The red flags are screaming once you know what to look for. Here are some examples. You talk about your real life in future tense, like when we move or after we're married. You've rearranged your actual life for promised events that keep getting postponed. You've said no to real opportunities for promised ones that never happened. You feel more alive during conversations about someday than during your actual today. You defend constantly shifting timelines to your worried friends. You become an expert in topics only relevant to the promised future, like languages, careers, locations, property taxes. And you count relationship progress by new promises rather than present reality. The slickest prison doesn't need bars, just a window with a view that keeps changing while you stay locked in place. Let me tell you about my friend Zoe. Zoe came to me after discovering her partner of 7 years had been pushing the exact same future. She said, "I'm not even crying over him. I'm crying over the children we named who will never be born." "Who gives me back my 30s?" she asked. That question exposed everything. Not about his lies, but about the irreplaceable time that future faking steals. Just a friendly reminder, this is not professional advice, just juicy psychology and real stories. Take what resonates and leave the rest. So what would actual shrinks say about our addiction to promised futures? Even Dr. Phil would call this what it is: emotional fraud with time as the currency. We're not being patient partners, we're being willing victims in a Ponzi scheme of promises. Science shows something most of us hate facing. Your brain on vivid future promises lights up identical to a cocaine hit. Each new promise, each timeline update, each fresh detail is another sweet fix keeping you hooked on fantasy instead of demanding reality. But here's where it gets super creepy. The darkest side of future faking is the identity thief. Future fakers don't just steal your Tuesdays and Wednesdays, they steal who you could have become. While you're frozen and waiting, whole versions of yourself die unborn, careers unlaunched, adventures untaken, growth stunted, actually love unfound. They've basically kidnapped alternate timelines. Look at couples where one person is perpetually about to change, almost successful, almost committed, almost stable. Notice how years pass, but the story never changes. That's not love. That's watching someone slowly disappear. Back in caveman times, this made twisted sense. Our ancestors survived by pairing up and planning future harvests together. Today's version is weaponized into a method for locking down your emotional resources while giving nothing real in return. So here are the 3 brutal truth bombs that finally electrocuted Simone out of her beautiful daydream prison. Number 1, you're not being patient. You're hiding from your actual life. This realization punched Simone in the throat with frank, she noticed a freaky pattern. She was using his elaborate promises as an escape hatch from her real problems. Her crappy job wasn't worth fixing because they'd be moving soon. Her empty social life wasn't worth building because they'd be starting fresh elsewhere. The future wasn't a destination, it was her hiding place. That's not patience, that's avoidance wearing a patient costume. Number 2, you're addicted to promise highs instead of demanding real-life actions. The ugly truth, Simone wasn't just waiting for Frank's visions, she was getting emotional high off them. When promises fell through, instead of seeing red flags, she'd get an even bigger promise as compensation, giving her an even bigger hope high. She wasn't a trusting partner. She was basically a promise junkie returning to her dealer for increasingly elaborate fixes. Number 3, your future faker needs your belief more than your actual presence. The soul-crushing revelation came when Frank's roommate drunk texted Simone. He said, he used the exact same Maine beach house story with his ex, right? Same writer studio, same view, same everything. She wasn't special. She was a current audience member for a script he performed repeatedly. Her main value wasn't as his partner, but as a witness who validated his fiction. Being someone's future isn't romantic. It's just a pretty way to never be important enough to be their present. The most devastating moment came 5 months after Simone finally escaped the endless almost. We spotted Frank at a friend's party with someone new, overheard him describing in vivid detail their future vineyard in Simona, complete with the guest cottage. Simone's first feeling wasn't anger. It was this creepy out-of-body moment, like watching herself being created in another human being sold oceanfront property in a video game. When their eyes met across the room, he didn't approach. He just gave a tiny nod that said it all. The promises were never meant to come true. They existed only to keep you paying rent in a fantasy. The darkest truth about future faking is this. Real love doesn't need spectacular promises about tomorrow. Real love shows up today and tomorrow and the next day, building something actual instead of selling luxury air castles. As literally everyone's grandma says, talk is cheap. All right, that's it for today's episode of CouchTales, Why We Do What We Do. I'm your host. If you loved this episode, smash that subscribe button and share it with someone who might be living in someone else's fiction instead of their own reality. And drop a comment about your own future faking experience. Seeing this pattern is step 1 to breaking free. Before you go, I need to warn you about something that will blow your mind. Next week, I'm revealing the 3-question test that instantly exposes whether you're building a real life or just collecting pretty stories about one. This eye-opening reality check will transform how you judge every single promise that enters your ear. And I'll walk you through it step by step, but only if you're ready to discover whether you're living in the now or just making payments on a future that was designed to keep you paying forever while delivering nothing. Until next time, gorgeous friend, stay curious, stay kind, stay present, and remember that sometimes the kindest thing you can do is admit that your magical someday might just be an elaborate excuse for avoiding the uncomfortable truth that the only life you're guaranteed is happening right now. Click here for more episodes.